and welcome to another week of Real Estate Unfiltered. And I am your friend, Jordana, and I've been a real estate agent now for 22 years. Time flies when you're having fun. 22 years. So it's 28, and next month I'll be 50. So I've been many decades in this. And happy tax day, okay? I know everyone's so excited. Well, some people are excited to get the refund. And then if you have to pay a check, not so excited. But hey, you know what? It is what it is. So, what I wanted to talk about today is the benefits of buying a house with the tax benefits. Now, when I started, there was a huge benefit. And I just want to start by saying I am not an accountant. I hire an accountant. So definitely get an accountant. Okay. So that is the number one most important thing. Get an accountant, get a professional to do a professional job. I always say that. Even, people say, what about selling my house myself? I just compare it to, I'm not putting my own roof on. I'm not doing my own dental surgery. So we live in a society that, I mean, any society really, where we all have to work together and help each other. So use a professional. So I want to start by saying that. But I did want to share some good news about interest rates being higher. Okay. So some people are going, I have the 2%, and there's no way I'm moving. I am not giving up my 2% interest rate. And quite frankly, I don't blame you. But however, maybe you outgrew your house. Maybe you have one bathroom and three kids. And sure, we can survive that way, but we want to live a little differently, but we're afraid of giving up that interest rate. Now, again, not an accountant, but based on the research that I have done, our current situation is that we are at a 32,000, and I'm going to try to be as least complicated about this as I can be, standard deduction. What that means is if you don't have more than $32,000 to deduct from your taxes, then you can't do extra deductions. So I'm going to read off because this will be easier for me to explain. So let's just say you bought a $350,000 house at an interest rate of 6.4%. Okay, your annual mortgage interest for your first year is 22,000. Your property taxes, let's just say, are 5,000, and we know that could be more for that price of a house, but we'll just use that. Your PA tax, say you spend 3,000, and now your charitable giving is 3,000. Okay, now your total deductions are now 33,000. So you're over that 32,000. So what I'm getting at is if you have the 2%, you're not paying enough money and interest to actually get the full that deduction that's going to help you catapult you into taking other deductions, if that makes sense. And if it doesn't, you can ask me and I'll try to explain it the best I can. But so what that means is if you give more charity, then, like, let's just say you give on top of everything else, of all those things I named, you give an extra $200 to charity, you take that as a deduction on your taxes now. Now, again, you have to meet that 32,000 for a couple. So it's kind of hard to meet unless you have a lot of deductions. And that is the benefit right now. So even though you think, well, I'm paying so much more for the house because of interest payment, or you just are scared of the number, I'm here to tell you that there are some benefits of having the higher interest rate potentially. Now, a couple other things, and quite frankly, I did some research too. And again, talk to an accountant, but I heard the latest bill that got passed is if you bought a car made in the USA last year and you earned under 200,000 jointly, that's it for a couple. I'm not sure what it is for one person. I'd have to check. You can deduct up to $10,000 in car loan interest. Now, I didn't know that. I just found that out too. And so why does it matter? Again, let's just say you're not quite at 30,000 or you're at 32,500. Now this is going to catapult you so that all the other deductions are going to count more. I know it's complicated. I love math. I love math, but I am no accountant. So I recommend you ask these questions to the accountant and let them do the work. But I guess what I'm ultimately telling you is you are going to find benefits potentially if you get a new house with a higher interest rate. So don't be afraid of the new interest rates. And if you can stay where you're at forever in the 2.5, great. But if do feel you need to or you want to move, there are benefits right now. And like I said, I assume it's going to stay for next year, but apparently if you buy a car made in the USA, there's benefits to this too. So, um, why does that matter as far as real estate goes? And again, this is because it all starts to add up. So if you rent, you're not paying property taxes, you're not paying interest on your loan. So you don't even have a potential of getting any of this really. Okay. So you have to start with things that you can deduct in order to get to that limit. So I hope this hasn't been too complicating. I'm not an accountant, but I'm just here to tell you, since it's tax day, there are many benefits that you do want to talk to your accountant about on buying a house. And if you're looking to move and you're afraid of the interest rates higher for the new house, there are benefits to that too. So you might potentially find other ways. You might think, well, I'm paying higher interest rate, but you're getting other money back in other forms. So how was that, Mia? Was that helpful?
Yes, definitely. So a quick question though. So are higher interest rates actually helping homeowners when it comes to taxes?
Well, that's what I was just explaining. Exactly. It's going to depend, right? So that's what I was explaining before about the deductions. So it could potentially, and again, you'll speak to an accountant. It could potentially. Now, if you have an accountant, or even if you start off with AI, just ask couple questions. Again, I'm all about getting information from AI, but ultimately, and I've learned my lesson even with my accountant because I did some research with AI, and ultimately it was wrong. And that's like Google. You can Google something. It doesn't mean it's always right. So, do some research, but ultimately ask an accountant. And before you buy a house, you can even ask, hey, here are my taxes. Here are how much I'd pay with like we said, 350,000 at 6.4% interest rate. How much will I get off of my income taxes as a result? So these are questions, you might want to try start off if you don't have an account to plug it into Gemini AI just to ask the question real fast. But ultimately, yeah, you need an accountant. But you can pre-plan that if you're just thinking about it, you can look into that now. Any other questions?
Yeah, so what's the bottom line? Are homeowners actually saving money on taxes or not?
Well, again, I don't want to say for sure. It really, really depends. I mean, it used to be a definite yes. It used to be a definite yes. But right now, because there's what we call standard deduction that a couple has, I'm not sure what a single person, let me even check here, um, but if you have a standard deduction, if you have that and you don't deduct up to 30 some thousand, then you're not going to benefit. So it used to be like an automatic yes. It is not an automatic yes anymore. That being said, there are ways you have to, I guess you could say compound. Okay, so I just read, and again, um, okay, so for a single person, it's only 16,000. So what that means is, again, let's just say you're a single person, you're single, okay? And you buy a house for $350,000 for 6.4% interest rate. So your mortgage payment is, no, I'm not talking about the mortgage payment. Talking about how much you pay in interest on the mortgage is 22,000. Your property taxes, we're saying 5,000, but it's probably more. Your PA state taxes, maybe 3,000, and maybe your charitable giving is 3,000. I mean, these are just sample questions. Now, you're way over, you're 33,000, which is way over 16,000. So let's just say you're single and you only, consider the annual mortgage of 22,000 and the taxes of 5,000. That's still way over, okay? So then in that case, you are going to get money potentially off of your taxes. Any other questions? I
Okay.
mean, it seems so complicated, so I don't want to really complicate it because, again, I am no accountant. I have an accountant, but I'm just here to tell you that there are benefits. You might think, wow, I'm spending $2,000 a month on a mortgage instead of rent for 1,800. But the question becomes, are you getting $500 extra back in taxes because of that? So, in fact, you're paying 1,500 a month in theory. I hope that makes sense. I love math, so it all makes sense to me, but I know some people don't love math as much as I do. So I just want to make sure that that makes sense. Anything else?
Thank you, Jordana. So one last, what's the biggest misconception about taxes and home ownership?
That's a tough one. Misconception. I don't think there are any. I think it's more, quite frankly, education. It's really education. I don't think there's a misconception. I don't think people know. I don't think people understand. And let's face it, laws change all the time and tax laws change all the time. And so at the end of the day, um, I don't think there's a misconception. I think it's lack of education in the first place and knowledge. Anything else?
I don't have any other questions on the line. Thank you,
All right,
Jordana.
wonderful. Well, thank you so much. And you guys have a wonderful day. And I also want to emphasize it's a spring market. So this is it, guys. I mean, every market, people say, what is the best market? There's no best as far as it's the best time for you and the best time for the buyer if you're on the seller side or vice versa. But I will say this is kind of our busy season. And so now is the time to really consider if you're a seller to sell. Um, that I would definitely say. And if you're a seller that's been on the market for a while and you're not getting offers, now's the time to consider a price adjustment. So that's a separate note, but I just want to put that out there for anybody watching so that it's a fickle, as I call it, fickle market right now. There's some houses selling for multiple offers very quickly, and there's some that are crickets and we're not even getting any showings. So it's people want what they want and they need to know the benefits too. Anything else?
Don't have any other questions in the
All
queue. Thank
right.
you,
Well, you
Jordana.
have a great day. I'm headed to Beaver County. Yes, Beaver County. I'm going to go listing a new house in Beaver County. So you guys have a wonderful day. It's actually a little neighborhood called Bridgewater, and I didn't even know it that well before either. And I want to check out this. I won't have time, but to check out this bar that apparently they bring sand in, so it makes it seem like actually that you're on the beach. So I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'll swing by. Not drinking, not day drinking, but maybe just check it out. All right. Bye.